on Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutirayet Shanvata Sukatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidunoti Sursatam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtiki Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pashatyade Shatarane Mukham Karoti Vachanam Pangam Langate Girim YatkripatamahamVande Shri Guru Tinataranam Padmanandam Madhava. So last Wednesday, we had begun our discussion on the 24th verse, second canto, third chapter, and we were kind of halfway between it. So I decided to restart from this verse because it's a famous verse, an important verse. Quoted, we'll see it quoted at different points of time, and there's quite a bit of commentary on it. So I thought to do justice to it, we'll try and take another look at it. So we'll do 2-3-24. I'll read the Sanskrit and then the translation, and then we'll start the discussion. Tadasmasaram hridayam batedam yad grihamanir harinamadehai na vikriyatatha yada vikaro netrajalam gatraruhe shuharsha. Certainly, that heart is steel framed, which, in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and the hairs stand on end. So this verse is actually talking of a fairly advanced stage of bhakti, where one is reached the stage of displaying the Ashtasattvic, the 8 symptoms of pure devotion. And it's been a bit of a journey. So Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, he summarizes the journey, that how the first chapter began with the glorification of Shravana Kirtan, and Sukadeva Goswami mentions that those who cannot do so, for them meditation on the Virat Roop is recommended. The second chapter advanced one to the stage of Paramatma realization, the mood of a yogi. The third chapter began with Panchupasana, which is worship essentially of the demigods. And while it is mentioned, it is also coming with a warning tag that the results are temporary and trivial. So having walked this path through the 3 chapters, at this point Sukadeva Goswami is explicitly talking about bhakti. And the point that he's making over here is that one should, so this is obviously a stage that goes beyond sadhana Vaidhi bhakti. So earlier on, Shaunaka Rishi, he had condemned the absence of the external engagement in the process of bhakti. So if you remember, he talked about what is the use of eyes that do not see the Lord, what is the use of hands that do not serve, what is the use of feet that do not go to the holy tirths. So this was more an external engagement, the kind of engagement that we are more familiar with, that we chant, we serve the deities, we serve the Vaishnavas, we try and visit the holy places. This verse talks about one who is more advanced, where the internals have developed to a point where the internals are driving the external. So that essentially is the difference between sadhana Vedi bhakti and raga bhakti. In sadhana Vedi bhakti, the mood is that, or the hope is that the external will drive the internal. That's the hope. That through the process of chanting, through the process of worshipping the deities, we develop a mood of spontaneous love. If not spontaneous, at least sporadic love. But in raga, it's the internal that drives that drives the external. That one is feeling so much of love that love manifests itself, and in this case, there are a couple of symptoms. That the eyes, tears flow from the eyes, the hair stand at an end. So essentially, what we see is that there is a combination in this verse. There are two aspects. One is internal and one is external. The internal is the state of the heart. The external is the two symptoms, but the external is the ashtasattvic, the symptoms of spontaneous devotion. For each of these two situations, there are two states. There is the presence and there is the absence. So in case of the heart, the presence is when the heart is soft and pliable because of the chanting. The absence is when the heart is steel framed. Similarly, in the external, there are two situations: the presence of the symptoms and the absence of the symptoms. So what the acharyas do is that basically this is a 2x2 matrix, so to speak, and there are four situations, and they explain the conception of a devotee or a practicing a devotee in each of these four situations. So we can quickly go over these four situations. They're intuitive to understand, but we can quickly go over it. So the first is when the heart is soft and the external symptoms are manifesting. So this is the state of a well-situated and an advanced devotee. The second is that the external symptoms are manifesting, but the heart is hard. It's not soft. So what is this? So this is the situation of a sahajya or a pretender, where externally they will manifest symptoms of crying, and through emotional impetus, they may also manifest the other symptoms of the sattvic bhav. But the heart is still not there. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see this situation that once in Chaitanya Leela, forget the name of the devotee, but he used to go into ecstasy when he would chant. And there was another person standing in the crowd, and then he also started displaying the same symptoms of ecstasy, foaming at the mouth and rolling on the ground. And then another devotee, he took a stick and began to beat him. And as soon as he was beaten by the stick, he immediately got up and ran away, because the devotee could understand that he's just a pretender. So that's the second situation. The third situation is that the heart is soft, but the external symptoms are not manifesting. And this is the situation of, Srila Prabhupada gives the analogy of a chaste woman who is carefully guarding her love to her husband because of the nature of its intimacy from the eyes of the general public. So even though the devotees in this situation may be experiencing the highest ecstasy, but they carefully guard it. And the example that is given in this case is that of when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Roy. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy to see his associate. And Ramananda Roy was very happy to see his worshipable Lord. But they met on the banks of the river Godavari, and they were surrounded by Smrata Brahmans. They were surrounded by people with different conceptions. So both of them carefully guarded. So they, instead of what would have been a typical reaction when such exalted Vaishnavas meet one another, it was more restrained. And that's when the famous conversation also happened between Mahaprabhu in terms of what is the most potent aspect of bhakti. So that's the third situation, that the heart. We also see that in this context, Burijan Prabhu makes the point that we also see that in the case of Srila Prabhupada. That there were times when he would be doing kirtan and he would become stunned, which is one of the sattvic bhav. But he would compose himself again. He would not give in to that. Or sometimes when he would see the deities, his tears would. Prabhupada Maharaj was once sharing that he had witnessed it personally. That Srila Prabhupada was taking darshan of the deities and tears were flowing from his eyes. But he was saying these were not tears that were flowing down the cheeks. He was saying these were tears that were, it was like you take a syringe and you depress the plunger and the water comes perpendicularly out. He said that tears were literally sprouting from the eyes and they were falling on the altar. And but then Srila Prabhupada, you could see that he composed himself, he gave up his senses and he went to his room. So that is the mood when the heart is soft and the external symptoms are not manifesting. And then the fourth case is, which is again a more straightforward case, is the heart is not soft. So these are people who do not have a lot of natural attraction to Krishna, to the process, and so their heart is steel framed, and because of that, the external symptoms also do not manifest. So most of the sadhakas actually come in that category. So we are aspiring to be devotees, but our heart still has anarthas. So when it says the heart is steel framed, the understanding is that it is covered by a hard covering of anarthas. If the anarthas are gone, then the heart becomes soft and pliable. And as soon as the holy name appears, then the heart melts and the external symptoms appear. So of course there is a difference between practicing devotees and non-devotees. As practicing devotees, we are aspiring to be in a situation where we are able to, even though we may not be that much interested in the external symptoms manifesting, but we definitely are interested in the change of heart. And depending on where we are in our sadhana sadhana, depending on where we are in our spiritual advancement, we either get glimpses of it, or for those of us who are more fortunate, we see more persistent signs of it. And it's at the end of the at the end of the day, it's a process. So at different points of time, we have started from a situation where neither our heart nor the external symptoms were displaying any changes, and now we are at a situation where at least we are aspiring for it. And maybe in some cases we do see, if there's ecstatic kirtan going on, we do see, we see kampan. Kampan is the body shivering. Sometimes when we see the deities, we experience that. Um, Other situations also, association of devotees. Um, I don't think anybody has attended a Bhagavatam class and experienced ecstatic symptoms, but the purpose of it is, of course, to clear away the misgivings, so that we are better suited there. So, so this is verse 24, and okay. So let me go on to the next verse, which is the last verse in the chapter, and then we'll start with the next chapter. So we are at 2.3.25. Atha bidai angamanu anukulam prabhashashe bhagvat pradhana yada vayaskiratma vidya visharado nripatim sadhu prastha. O Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain this to us as it was spoken by the great devotee Sukadeva Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge and who spoke to Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked. So this is the concluding verse of Shaunaka Rishi as he's speaking to Sutta Goswami. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that knowledge explained by the previous Acharya, like Sukadeva Goswami, and followed by the next, like Sutta Goswami, is always powerful transcendental knowledge. And it is therefore penetrating and useful to all submissive students. So Prabhupada is stressing on the fact that the knowledge is coming through a disciplic succession. And the fact that it is transcendental, he says it is penetrating and useful to all submissive students. So essentially capturing the mood of the chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, specifically Tadidipnipatena Pariprashnena Sevya. That the person is submissive, the knowledge is coming through Evam Parampara Praptam, it's coming through a disciplic succession, and the result of the knowledge is change of heart. So in the previous set of verses, Shaunaka Rishi has very strongly and roundly condemned the materialists. And now he's essentially separating. He's separating the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. He's saying that there are so many people who are constantly engrossed in different materialistic endeavors, and they will never experience that change in heart. Their heart will always be steel framed. They will never display the sattvic bhavs of bhakti. So there are 2 points that he's making there. One is that don't worry about them. Speak for the benefit of the devotees. That this information was given by one great acharya to another, and now we are sitting here eager to listen. And just like we are sitting here, In future, there will be many devotees sitting to listen. So for their benefit, please continue to speak. Also, he is saying that the knowledge that you are giving in future will change the heart of those whose heart are steel framed. So even those who have no hope, who have no place in their heart for Krishna, by by uh, by the benedictions and the virtue of the knowledge that you're given, they will become Vaishnavas, and they will display this exalted symptoms of devotional service. So either way, he's requesting Sutta Goswami, making a case to speak. And to a great extent, that's the mood of an audience, that when the audience is sitting and the speaker is speaking, the audience should not consider the fact that it's the speaker's duty to speak. The audience should not consider the fact that they are doing a favor to the speaker. But we still see this mood throughout the Bhagavatam, that whenever there is a question answer, because essentially that's what Bhagavatam is. It's a series of conversations, and the conversations are anchored around questions and answers. Then there are within conversation there are other conversations, and we always see this mood that at the beginning of the conversation, the person who's inquiring will first glorify the speaker as to why he is qualified, and they will present themselves also as suitable recipients. So sometimes they will deprecate themselves, that I have no other hope, I'm fallen. They will also express their sincerity, that we're sitting here sincere, eager to listen to you. And then over the course of the conversation, they will continue to encourage the speaker. So this is what Shaunaka Rishi is doing over here. Even though Sutta Goswami has spoken, and in the beginning he had indicated that he will summarize, or he will recite the conversation that happened between Parishad Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami. But yet, in a mood of a sincere recipient, we see Shaunaka Rishi here and future also. He will continue to appreciate, glorify, and encourage Sutta Goswami. So, in the commentary to this verse, Sridhar Swami, he very much like Srila Prabhupada did for the last verse, he summarizes the flow. And he says the first chapter describes the meditation on the Lord's universal form. So this is the Virat Roop, by engaging in devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting about the Lord. The second chapter describes abandoning meditation on the Lord's universal form and accepting instead meditation of Lord Vishnu, who is the witness of everything and the master of all. So this is essentially the meditation on Paramatma. Then the third chapter describes the superiority of service to Lord Vishnu, which is performed with great devotion and which consists of many activities, beginning with hearing of about the Lord. So this is bhakti, which is anchored around Shravan and Kirtan. So in a lecture on this verse, Srila Prabhupada says that he simply went on narrating. So he is Sutta Goswami. So he said he simply went on narrating. In the middle, there were some questions, intelligent questions. I'm sorry, the he over here is Sukadeva Goswami. So in the middle, there were some questions, intelligent questions by Parishad Maharaj. Question is also required. If you simply hear, do not understand, just like dumb stone, that's not good. You should hear attentively, and as soon as there is some difficulty, you should question. Okay, so this is our conclusion of the third chapter, and we can begin with the fourth chapter. If there's any questions on the third chapter, we can take them now. Okay, If not, then we can start with the fourth chapter. So 2.4, the title of the chapter is the process of creation. So the first three chapters, they established Krishna as the source of worship. As the object of worship. That whichever conception one is, one should worship Krishna. If not very advanced, Virat Roop. If more advanced, Paramatma. If even more advanced, then Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. Now the chapter 4 is it seems to be a deviation, right? Because apparently Sukadeva Goswami is building on the topic of Krishna Bhakti. But chapter 4 talks about the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. Then chapter 5 and 6 will talk about the creation and relationship of the material energy with Krishna. And the end of chapter 6 will present the Purush incarnations, which were presented earlier by Sutta Goswami. In chapter 7, how the Lord deals with the world in terms of his Leela Avatar, which was again discussed in the first canto by Sutta Goswami. So beginning from the 4th chapter to the 7th chapter is, so the second canto is actually the smallest canto in the Bhagavatam. It has only 10 chapters, and it has 3 sections. So the first 2, 3 was worship of Krishna, and 4 to 7 is the process of creation. So Sutta Goswami is now going to describe to Shaunak Rishi and the sages that Parishad Maharaj, after hearing the words of Sukadeva Goswami, that one way or the other, you should fix your consciousness on Krishna and detach from the material world. He attempts to do that. So the first 3 chapters were basically an instruction to that effect. That one way or the other, you think about Krishna and you detach. Now, in this mode, he will now continue his mode of his flow of inquiry to Sukadeva Goswami, and he essentially will ask 3 questions. And again, remember, this is in the context of creation. So he will ask that how are the universes created, how are they maintained and destroyed, and what is the relationship between Krishna and the modes of material nature. So each of the question is very important, and we won't discuss them in details now. When we come to the questions, we will discuss them further. But the rest of the chapters are basically constructed around the answers to these 3 questions: the creation of the universe, the material and the maintenance and the destruction of the universe, and the relationship of Krishna with this whole process of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Okay, so we'll begin with the first verse of the 4th chapter, Canto 2. Sutta vacha Vayasakya vachas tattvanishchayam atmanaha upadharyamatim Krishne auterya satim yadat. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadeva Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. So, as we mentioned before, in this chapter, Sukadeva Goswami will be asked by Parikshit Maharaj about the process of creation. So later on, uh, we will know more about uh, how the Bhagavatam is essentially addressing 10 topics, and one of the topics is Sarga. So Sarga is the process of primary creation. So we know that uh, there are two kinds of creation: the primary creation done by Krishna, and the secondary creation that is done by Brahma, which is called Visarga. So here he is inquiring about the uh, the process of Sarga, and the bulk of this chapter is essentially um, a set of 7 prayers by Sukadev Goswami uh, to empower him to answer these questions and future questions. So Sukadeva Goswami is by himself competent, right? So when Sukadeva Goswami appeared, there was glorification. There was a talk about uh, his past, how he was empowered. So, one would think that he's very competent to sit over there and address, which he is. But his competency is coming because of the empowerment by Krishna. So he's going to be talking about topics that are not discernible. So he will talk about so he will talk about topics that have to be accepted on faith, that are transcendental topics. So when one is speaking about such topics, one has to be careful that the person does not contaminate the topics with their own conception. So when you are taking nectar and passing nectar, then very important that you don't do anything, because nectar is non-material, it is spiritual. Very important that you don't add any material conception to it. So it is humbling and instructive to see that even a devotee of the caliber and stature of Sukadeva Goswami, he is praying that may I be a transparent via media, that may Krishna empower me to speak the topics that I have heard. So he will actually, in the prayers, you will see that he will pray to Krishna and he will pray to the parampara. He will pray to the disciplic succession, because the knowledge that he has received is from the disciplic succession coming from Krishna. And to both of them, he'll be rendering prayers that just like you have given me this knowledge without any changes, just as you have given me this knowledge as you have received it from your predecessor, Acharya, may I also be able to do the same. And then the empowerment is that, and this is an empowerment that all spiritualists aspire for. That may I not sit there and simply provide information. May I speak things which will result in the change of heart. So people can sit and talk about tattvas, and they can be appreciated by jnanis. That how many worlds are there? There are 14 planetary systems. The names are this. In Satyug, people lived for 100,000 years. So there's so much information that you can give to people, and it's fascinating. It's interesting, and it may draw the mind of a person. but there will not be a change of heart. So especially when you're talking about topics like creation, wherein it's essentially a an interaction of the confluences of different material energy. But Sukadeva Goswami is not sitting there for that. He's saying that because ultimately it will lead one to appreciate the greatness of Krishna. So that's why Parishad Maharaj is asking these questions. So after having already been given the goal of reaching the stage of pure devotion, he's dialing things back, right? Because one might say that I've told you that bhakti is the process. Shravan Kirtan is an easy way to practice this bhakti, and the destination is pure love of God. The symptom of that pure love of God is this and this, right? So the process has been laid out. But Parishad Maharaj also is there for us, and um, he's working on this conception that when one understands how great Krishna is, then one will automatically worship Krishna. If you simply go to somebody and say worship Krishna, the person may not be inspired to worship. But if you tell them the details, Prabhupada said that is why there are so many details, that we not only know that Krishna is great, we know how great Krishna is. So when we know that as a small child he killed Putna, who had a body that was 7 miles long, and then he killed Bakasur and Agasur and he lifted the mountain. And then naturally in our heart we begin to appreciate the greatness of Krishna, and devotion also manifests there. So that's why Parishad Maharaj is asking these topics that seem to be unrelated, but ultimately they are there. So he's irrigating our heart. He's irrigating our heart so that the seeds of devotion can be easily planted and grow over there. So in this verse we see that Parishad Maharaj, he had heard from Sukadeva Goswami, and the Sanskrit word that is used over here is Tattva Nishchayam Atmanaha Updharya Matim Krishna Auterya Satim Vyadat Itisviti Vacha. So he had heard that if one has to discern the truth of the soul, one should think about Krishna. And he is just give me 1 minute. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so so Parishad Maharaj as a pure, so he's the reason that he is mentioned over here as the son of Uttara is Sutta Goswami reminding us and the sages about the origin, the pastime at the birth of Parishad Maharaj, that how he had received the mercy of Krishna. So he's also described as Satim Matim in this verse, or one who has an undeviated mind. Matim means conception or mind, and Satim means one that is fixed. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he glorifies Parishad Maharaj as a pure devotee, because of this, that from the very beginning, from the womb of his mother, he is meditating on Krishna. He has been associating with Krishna, and he has not deviated. He is Satim Matim. That from the womb to the current time, he has constantly been undeviated in his worship of Krishna. So the question over here is that why should Parikshit Maharaj, who has discerned, so the word is known as Upadharya, who has discerned the Tattva Nishchayam, who has already discerned the essential truth about Atmana. So it's described as Upadharya Tattva Nishchayam Atmana, that he has discerned the Tattva Nishchayam means the essential. Atmana is about the self. Why would you want to discuss about the process of material creation rather than the spiritual pastimes of the Lord? So Sutta Goswami, he deliberately uses these words. One is, of course, to glorify Parikshit Maharaj, but also to indicate to us that one should not take these things lightly. One should not say that, oh, this is Sarga, this is Visarga, and this is Ishanu Katha, this is Manvantaras. Let me go straight to Krishna's pastimes. So the point he's making is that even one who is at the caliber of Parikshit Maharaj, he is inquiring about the process of creation and sub-creation, because he sees it is something that will increase his faith. And so he's encouraging, they are encouraging us also, who are not as fortunate as Sukdev Goswami, as Parikshit Maharaj, that not had that level of association with Krishna, more so for us to carefully study these topics, because they are meant, they've been put over there to increase our faith. Another reason also is that Prabhupada would say that when there are like sports fans, so if there is an object of their adoration, they want to know everything about him. They just don't want to know about his sports, whatever. So they want to know what his favorite color is, where was he born, what does he like to eat. So that's the nature of affection, that you want to know anything and everything. So similarly, Parikshit Maharaj, he already has a very heightened state of affection for Krishna, but he wants to know everything about it. He wants to know about the pastimes he directly engages in, ones that he indirectly inspires. What does he do? Why does he do? It's just a symptom of his love for Krishna. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the word satim is very significant. This means existing and chaste. And both imports are perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. Later he says, so by natural sequence, he was a chaste devotee of the Lord. And when he further heard from Srila Sukadev Goswami that one should worship Krishna, one should worship the Lord only and no one else, even though full of all desires or desireless, his natural affection for Krishna was strengthened. So in a commentary on this verse by Jiva Goswami in Krishna Sandarbha, he writes that the fact that Maharaj Parikshit was already able to concentrate on Krishna, it showed that he had already succeeded in attaining the goal of life, which is Naishtik Rati, which is steady attachment to Krishna Katha. And the object was Vasudeva Nandasya. So it was fixed thai on Vasudeva Nandasya. Maharaj Parikshit's mind is described as Satim, as chaste or pure. Why? Because his mati was prayerful and devotional. He's param rasa vidgad, completely expert in relishing all kind of uh, rasas. So, so the point that Jiva Goswami is making here is, and of course the acharyas will make similar points, is that Parishad Maharaj, in a completely pure state of of mind, is expressing the desire to hear about topics that perhaps are not directly concerning, not directly relating to him. So later on, in the 8th chapter, Parishad Maharaj he will speak, and in relation to this, and he will say, narrations concerning the Lord, who possesses wonderful potencies, are certainly auspicious for living beings on all planets. O greatly fortunate Sukadev Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely free from material qualities, thus relinquish this body. And Srila Prabhupada notes that to become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, two things are very much essential. Namely, having a chance to be born in the family of a devotee and having the blessings of a bona fide spiritual master. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Parishad Maharaj had both the opportunities. In a lecture on this verse, Prabhupada says that now, when he was cursed by a Brahman to die within 7 days, why Krishna did not save him, or why he did not seek Krishna's protection? If Parishad Maharaj was not in this position, that he was to die within 7 days, this Bhagavad would not have come. So either he's answering a question or he's making a point that somebody might say that if Parishad Maharaj was already such an advanced devotee and so closely connected to Krishna, then why did Krishna not protect him? So Krishna protected him in the womb of his mother from the Brahmastra. And now he doesn't protect him. And Parishad Maharaj does not ever ask for Krishna for this protection. Right? He says the opposite. He says, let this snake bird come, or whatever creature this Brahman has invoked, let this creature come and kill me, because that way, in the remaining time, I can absorb myself in hearing about Krishna. Okay, so next verse 242. Atmajaya sutagara pashudravina bandhusu rajya chai vikale nityam viruddham mamatam jahu. Maharaj Parikshit, as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up all deep-rooted affection for his personal body, his wife, his children, his palace, his animals like horses and elephants, his treasury house, his friends and relatives, and his undisputed kingdom. So the renunciation of Parikshit Maharaj, Jahu, it is described as being caused by Nityam Virudham Mamata. Or Nityam is constant, and Virudham is deep-rooted. Mamatam is attraction. So Nityam Virudham Mamatam is his constant deep-rooted attraction to Krishna. And that was the stated, but the source of his attraction is imputed from this verse. Sutta Goswami, he speaks about the const of Parikshit Maharaj on Krishna since before his birth. So because if you take that in context, that attraction that Krishna had, that Parikshit Maharaj had for Krishna, he was able to give up the other kind of affection. And the greatest affection that that one has is for Atma. So Atma in this context is body. So Atma Jaya Sutagara. So if you look at the word-to-word translation, then you will not find this phrase that Srila Prabhupada puts in the initial part of the verse as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna. Right? So that for the sake of continuity, Srila Prabhupada has taken it from the previous verse and put it over here for us to understand better here. So the things that are being explained over here are in some order of severity. So one is most attracted to Atma. So one is most attracted to the body. And then after one is attracted to the body, one is attracted to the wife and the child. So the child is an extension of the body. The wife is as good as one's own body. After that, one is attracted to the relatives, who are also because of the relationship in the body. Then one is attracted to what one has achieved. So, which is the kingdom, the palace, and possession. And the nature of this attraction is very, very deep. Yet Parikshit Maharaj is described as avikali, that without being disturbed. And the reason that he was able to give it up is because of the previous verse, his wholehearted attraction to Krishna. So one may question at this point that Parikshit Maharaj, he was always glorified as a pure devotee. So why did he give up these material possessions only when he saw that death was inevitable? If he was always a pure devotee, then he should always have been in this stage of renunciation. Right? If somebody was more cynical and saying that, we are equating Krishna's, Parikshit Maharaj's deep-rooted attraction to Krishna to his renunciation. But we have also heard previously that right from birth, Parikshit Maharaj was a Mahabhagavad. But we see that he was creating all this. He married, he had a wife, he had a child. He would travel and conquer different kingdoms, annex them, make a part of it. So why now that he has 7 days to live, now that he is giving up? So Prabhupada explains in the purport that attachment for household paraphernalia and for Lord Krishna go poorly together. One attachment is the path of darkness, and the other attachment is the path of light. When there is light, there is no darkness, and when there is darkness, there is no light. So Prabhupada is contrasting spiritual attachment with material attachment. However, so this is not the purport, but this is a summarization of it. So a devotee of the caliber of Parikshit Maharaj can be materially opulent and use all his opulence in the service of Krishna, and thus be always fully renounced. And that is Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. That while he was a king, as a service to Krishna, he was ruling the kingdom. While he was a grahastha, as a service to Krishna. He had a family, and he was creating the future dynasty to take care of the kingdom. He was waging wars on different kingdoms in order to make sure that the people over there get an opportunity to make advancements in Krishna consciousness. So that was his mood at that time. Now that he had 7 days left, his mood changed from the perspective of the the how to part. The what part did not change. He was still asking us the same question: what can I do to serve Krishna in the best possible way? At that time, he was serving Krishna through this, through his kingdom, through his family, through war. And at this time, realizing that there was not enough time, there was not time for all that, his mood was still the same. How can I serve Krishna? And the mood was by Krishna Katha. So also his formally giving up his wealth, etc., towards the end of his life was to set an example for others to follow and to show the potency of Bhagavatam. So he is still continuing to use himself as a nimit matra, as an instrument of Krishna. So when one is reaching towards the end of the life, at least at that time, they can become materially renounced. And the fact that he is sitting there and causing the Bhagavatam to appear, that is the greatest service that he is doing for Krishna and the future generations. So Prabhupada writes that one who has seriously heard Srimad Bhagavatam for even one day, like Maharaj Parikshit, from a fit personality, like Sukadev Goswami, may be able to lose all affinity for material things. There is no utility simply in imitating Maharaj Parikshit and hearing Bhagavatam from professional men, even for 700 years. To take Srimad Bhagavatam as a means of maintaining family expenditure is the grossest type of Namaprad offense at the feet of the Lord. Sarva Shubha Kriya Shayam Api Pramadha. So in a lecture on this verse, Srila Prabhupada writes, but by Krishna's grace, if we continue regularly these Krishna consciousness rules and regulations, then automatically we shall be disinterested. Bhaktim prasena bhavu viraktir anyatara shayat. Bhagavatam 11:242. These are not to be artificially attained. You cannot give up your wife, children, kingdom artificially. Artificially, if you give up, then you will again fall down. Okay, so let me stop here and see if there is any discussion.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much. One question is, it is a little bit on this chapter, as you mentioned, is although appear out of context little bit compared to previous chapters, but in my case, unless you tell that, if you do not tell that point, probably I would not even realize. And not specifically for Bhagavatam classes, because we are going verse by verse. Sometimes when I hear lectures, like everything that the devotee sharing is, I am understanding, but overall context, why he is telling that particular uh, thing at that point, that I have tough time many times in grasping it. Like how do we, what are the things I should keep in mind to overall to take the maximum benefit out of the class?
So it's a very good question. When we are studying the scriptures, then and I'm sure you have studied enough of them to understand that probably the most important thing in understanding a particular verse or a particular conversation is by first understanding the context in which it is spoken. So case in point is Bhagavad Gita. Why is Bhagavad Gita one of the most misquoted scripture? Because Krishna, he makes, one reason is it is very accessible, but it is very accessible to people who are inexperienced in the science of reading the spiritual books. So everything that Krishna says in the Gita is established, has to be understood in the context. At one point, Krishna is telling Arjun that this body is just a bag of chemicals. Right? If somebody reads that verse and say that Krishna is basically espousing a completely atheistic platform. At the point, he says that karma is invincible. Jatasya dhrum mrityu dhrum janmatasya. Everybody who's born will die. Everybody who will die will take birth. So, in this inevitable exchange of body, just, don't get bewildered by it. Which is like the cycle of karma is going to continue. Don't worry about anything else. Krishna is talking about karma. So, so I think the first point that you were making, I completely resonate with that. That in order for us to not only for us to get the potency of the instruction, but even to get the instruction accurately, we have to understand the context. Otherwise, we ourselves might unknowingly fall victim to this, that we read a verse, we don't understand the context, and we come to a completely different conclusion. And this is the reason why Srila Prabhupada, he would often use stress on this word, systematic, that one should engage in the systematic study of the scriptures. So when he's saying the word systematic, then that's what he's implying. Systematic means that you study verse 1, verse 2, verse 3. Systematic also means that you study under the shelter of the previous acharyas, and the previous acharyas will reveal to us the explicit and implicit context. Sometimes when we read ourselves, so even if you do this exercise that you take a chapter and then you read, just read all the verses, and then you will see that you have a better understanding, because the context, at least from the perspective of the chapter, is established there. Like today morning, I was giving a class on the Bhagavatam on the 4th canto, chapter 22. So it was about Prithu Maharaj, and that verse said that Prithu Maharaj, being a pure devotee, fully engaged in fruitive activities, and had 5 sons by his wife Archi, by his own desire. Right, verse 53, I think. So when you read, if this verse is read, one will say that Prithu Maharaj, being a pure devotee, what does a pure devotee do? Fully engaged in fruitive activities. And what is the example of the fruitive activity? He had 5 sons with his wife, right? So, and coincidentally, I spend quite a bit of time talking about the importance of context. That you read this verse, you get one interpretation, but if you read the verse it's one of the last verses in the chapter. If you read the preceding verses, then you see that prior to this, Prithu Maharaj was instructed by the 4 Kumaras, where they spoke about Gyan Mishra Bhakti. Before that, Prithu Maharaj himself was instructed by Krishna about Shuddha Bhakti. And then he had spoken about Prithu Maharaj was practicing what is Karma Mishra Bhakti. So the point that was made in that verse was that being a pure devotee of the Lord engaged all his activities in the devotion of Krishna, which was seemingly fruitive activities, like ruling the kingdom, having children, disciplining the miscreants. So they were fruitive activities, but being a pure devotee, he engaged all of them in the service of Krishna, which is essentially the principle of Yukta Vairagya, that one uses anything and everything. So so if you're trying to, which we all are, to delve more deeply in the scriptures from a perspective of how to act upon them, how to make them a part of a life, then the systematic study, and especially under the guidance of the previous acharyas, that is very important. Even when you see that people, when they give classes, then they will first start off by establishing context. That this verse, like the daily class in the temple, a person can speak maybe one verse, two verse. So then the next, a different speaker will come and speak. But in order to make sure the continuity is there, they will follow the structure, that they will begin off with establishing context, and then they will continue with the with the verse. Okay, I hope that helps.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, but why here he jumped into the creation?
So the why is because um, uh, so I can summarize the points that we had discussed. So the why is that Parishar Maharaj wants to show the greatness of Krishna. So we discussed that Prabhupada says that when you understand the details of the greatness, you will appreciate the greatness. If I just say Krishna is great, it's just a statement. But then I say Krishna is great, that through one breath he creates the universe. And when he inhales, the universe is destroyed. Millions of Brahmas appear from the pores of his body. By just his thought, he is able. So when we talk about more specifics, then we understand the greatness of Krishna. So this is Parishar Maharaj leading us to the path, to the 10th canto, where we'll actually see the greatness of Krishna. But by that time, he wants us to be completely convinced that there is nobody like Krishna. Brahma is not creating the universe. In the next chapter, we see this conversation between Narad Muni and Brahma. And Brahma says, I'm not doing anything. I'm not creating this universe. Krishna is empowering me to create his universe. And we'll see that theme again and again, that how even things that we think are being done by great personalities like Brahma or Indra or Shiva, ultimately Krishna is the basis of it. So that was the main the one main point. Second point that was made was that it's a sign of affection. That when somebody admires, somebody is a lot of affection, then one wants to know everything about the person. Right? The example I gave is if you're following a sports person, and you may like the fact that he's excellent in sports, but because of that affection, you'd want to know about his childhood, about his favorite dishes, about the kind of music that he listens. So the nature of affection is that it is encompassing. So we see that in the mood of devotees, that they just don't want to know that Krishna is God. Right? They want to know everything about Krishna. What did Krishna do here? When did he fight with the demon? What happened there? There are some of the more advanced literatures from Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. They talk in so much. I don't know if that was a book that you gave me or somebody else gave me. There's a book on the Ashtakali Leela of Krishna. I think it's by Sanatana Goswami. And there's so much of details that is given on each of the eight kal that Krishna, the eight Muhurats that Krishna spreads. It was beyond me to be honest. But when you read it, you get a sense that this is what the devotees who are absorbed in Krishna are hankering for. That what does he do at 8 a.m.? What does he do at 8:05 a.m.? What does he do at 10 a.m.? So just an extension of that. How does he create the material world? How does he maintain it? How does he destroy it? How does he do all this without actually being directly connected with the material world? So it's an expansion of the affection of the devotees and Parishar Maharaj towards Krishna. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
Sure. Okay, so there are no more questions. We'll do the next two verses, 2, 4, 3, and 4. Paprachachemam yanmam prachata satma Krishnanubhav Shravane Shaddadanu Mahamana Samstam Vigya Sanyasa Karmatrayi Vergamyat Kramatrayi Vargikam Chayat Vasudeve Bhagavati Atma Bhavam Dridam Gataha. O great sages, the great soul Maharaj Parikshit, constantly wrapped in the thought of Lord Krishna, knowing well of his imminent death, renounced all sorts of fruitive activities, namely acts of religion, economic development, and sense gratification, and thus fixed himself firmly in his natural love for Krishna and asked all these questions exactly as you are asking me. So this verse is also answering the question that was posed in the implicitly posed in the previous verse, that why did Maharaj Parikshit, being a pure devotee, not give up his kingdom and his horses and his treasury earlier on? So this verse is saying that um, that there was the knowledge of his imminent death. So because of that, he renounced all kinds of, so what is mentioned over here is religion, economic development, and sense gratification. So dharma, artha, and calm. And he fixed himself firmly in his natural love for Krishna. So it's not that he suddenly developed a lot of love. His natural love was always there. Earlier on, his natural love was manifesting in the so-called fruitive activities of dharma, artha, and calm. Now it is manifesting in a different way, which is in terms of Shuddha Bhakti. Sorry about that. There's a call coming. So in the previous chapter, Shaunaka had not asked any specific questions to Sutta Goswami. Rather, he had asked him to, in a general way, that you relate the conversation between Parishit Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami. So Sutta congratulates Shaunaka about Eva Artham, that inquiries for the same purpose. Artham is useful inquiries. Eva means continuation, and so inquiries for the same purpose. So he had congratulated Shaunaka because these questions are meant to bring one's mind to Krishna and develop material detachment. So in this context, Vishwanath Chakravarti says that in this verse we see that Sutta Goswami says that so Sutta Goswami in this case is saying to Shaunaka Rishi that the questions that you have asked me are exactly the same as the questions that were asked by Parishit Maharaj. And Eva Artha means that for the same purpose. And the purpose is to develop love of Krishna. So when the sages are saying, please tell me everything which is related to Krishna, same question was asked by Parishit Maharaj, and for the same purpose, that to develop a better understanding of Krishna as a way to intensify one's love for Krishna. So here Parikshit Maharaj, he is called as Tre Vargikam. So Tre Vargikam is one who has renounced three principles of religion, which is dharma, artha, and calm. Now, moksha is not mentioned at this stage. And, one may question that why Parikshit Maharaj was following this Purusharthas, knowing well the purpose of the life. So this is in the Purva. That why was he? Because when he renounced dharma, artha, and kam, the understanding is that he was following dharma, artha, and kam. And this is again the same point that's being made the third time, so that we understand the mood of Parikshit Maharaj. So Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport, as a great emperor of the world, Maharaj Parikshit had to observe such regulations of Vedic Karma Kandya section. But by his slight association with Sukadeva Goswami, he could perfectly understand that Lord Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead Vasudeva, for whom he had a natural love since his birth, is everything. And thus he fixed his mind firmly upon him, renouncing all modes of Vedic Karmakandya activities. So Srila Prabhupada here gives a slightly more subtle aspect to it. Earlier on, the point was made that Maharaj Parikshit, he was following this Purusharthas as a service to Krishna. That because it was appropriate at that time, just like Arjun, he fought the battle of Mahabharata at one point. At another point, he left everything and he renounced, both of them in the mood of service. Both of them were appropriate at that particular time. Prabhupada here makes a more subtle point that just like there is always fire within the wood, and when it comes in contact with fire, then that fire manifests. So that natural love of Krishna was always there in Parishad Maharaj, but by Vaishnava Sangha, by slight association with Sukadeva Goswami, that manifested completely. So essentially, the point that is made over here is the influence of Vaishnava Sangha. Even exalted devotees can benefit by the influence of Vaishnava Sangha. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he quotes from 5 acharyas that support this notion of having full dependence of Krishna in all circumstances. So this is the current state of Parishad Maharaj, that of manifesting full dependence, because everything that one would think that he has taken shelter of, which is his body, his wife, his sons, his kingdom, his horses, his treasury, he has given up everything. So what is his situation now? His situation is of full and exclusive dependence on Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada takes this as a preaching opportunity, and he quotes 5 acharyas that actually make the same point. So the 5 acharyas that he quotes are Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami, Madhvendra Puri, Prahlad Maharaj, and Baldev Vidyabhushan. For the sake of succinctness, I will not go through each of the quotes, but Prabhupada then summarizes. But of course, strongly recommended that you read it and meditate on it. Each one of this glorify this notion of complete and exclusive dependence of Krishna in all circumstances. And then after giving these quotes from the 5 acharyas, Prabhupada concludes in the purport that the whole matter is concluded in Bhagavad Gita 241 as Vyavasatmika Buddhi, or the absolute path of perfection. Sri Baldev Vidyabhushan was a great Vaishnava scholar. Defines this as Bhagavad Archana Rupeka Nishkam Krambhir Visuddha Chitta, accepting transcendental loving service to the Lord as the prime duty, free from fruitive reactions. So Maharaj Parikshit was perfectly right when he firmly accepted the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, renouncing all Karam Kandya conceptions of life. So there is a lecture that uh, that is quoted in this context. Prabhupada gave it in Los Angeles on June 27, 1972. So Prabhupada says, one who is actually intelligent, he should know that he will die. But the karmi, the rascal, he knows also that he will die. At least he theoretically accepts. But he wants to enjoy to the fullest extent, as long as death has not come. That is the present condition of society. He knows that he will die. So long my senses are there, let me gratify. Now, yesterday when I went to the bank, there was a cinema signboard. What is that? Karandar Prabhu, he says, is there sex after death? Prabhupada, yes, laughter. You see, because this material life means sex, so they are seeking sex after death also. Laughter. Is there sex after death? They are inquiring if there is sex after death. Then they are not fearful of death. There is a story of one man who was drinking. So drinking in India is a great sin. So his friend advised that you are drinking, you'll go to hell. He said, oh, my father also drinks. So he said, your father will also go to hell. Oh, my brother also drinks. Oh, he will also go to hell. In this way, he continued to say, my father, my brother, my sister, my this, my that. And he was replying, yes, they will also go to hell. Oh, then hell is heaven because we are all drinking there and drinking there. So what is hell? That is heaven. Similarly, this signboard is like that. If sex is there after death, then that is not death. That is life. You see? So actually, you have got sex after death because you'll get another body. Now you have having sex as human being in very nice apartment or on the street, on the beach as you like it. In the next life also as cats and dogs, you will have sex life. Okay, so so Srila Prabhupada is essentially making this point that unless one is able to give one's material attraction before one's death, then one is guaranteed to have another life. But the misfortune is that rather than people giving up the material attraction, they're looking to continue it after their death in their next life. And of course, the way the law of karma works, that one gets what one desires and deserves. So when one desires a lot of sex life, Prabhupada said that one might take birth as a monkey or a pigeon because they enjoy unrestricted sex life. Or one wants to eat a lot, one may take birth as a pig or as a hog, and they have unlimited. They will eat anything and everything. So the implicit point that Prabhupada is making here is that one should be like Maharaj Parikshit, that before one's death, well in time before one's death, one should give up all these purusharthas. One should give up all these addictions to material conceptions, and thus be ready to make this their last material birth. Okay, so I'll stop here. We have 5 more minutes to see if there's any questions or comments. The next set of verses are the questions by Parishit Maharaj. We'll do that next week, or sorry, on Wednesday.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just a comment. You know the jihadists, no, those who committing, like suicide, mass suicide, killing 100 people. They say that they will, after death, they will get 1,000 virgin to enjoy with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good example. And, they're promised a lot of things, which is essentially a compensation. Like if they're poor, they'll say you'll become wealthy, and you'll be having a lot of wives, etc. So The unfortunate thing is that a lot of people do buy into that and follow through. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Prabhuji, one question. Like when somebody is doing sadhana vaidhi bhakti, in the initial stages, like his material desires will not be quenched, and even though he is trying to act devotionally, he may act in a material context, not in fully Krishna conscious. At one point, when he progresses to Krishna bhakti, like more seriously, more strongly, so will the reactions to it also will be naturally burnt as the bhakti progresses, Prabhuji?
Yes. So when one takes to devotion, then and this is explained in the Nectar of Devotion, that one cycle of karma ceases at that time, even when it's taken to the preliminary stages of bhakti. So kleshangni and kleshangni is burning of the klesha, which is essentially burning of karma. But then the point is made that even after that, the devotees may commit sinful activities, will experience the results of sinful activities. And the explanation is that that is Krishna karma. So these are reactions that Krishna will give for the sake of purification. So even to the past sinful activities that were done before the person took to devotion, there be still reactions, but they are not coming from Lord Yamraj, or more appropriately, not coming from Shani Dev. They're coming from Krishna. Their purpose is not there to balance out your karmic debt. The purpose there is to make devotional advancement. And generally, it's explained that Krishna is kind, so he gives a token reaction. So if one was going to get a magnitude of 1 to 10, Krishna might give 2 or 3. But it's also given that Krishna, depending on what is suitable, might give an excessive reaction, if that is what is suitable. Because then it's no longer a law, it's no longer a rule. It's between a reaction, it's an interaction between a father and a son. So sometimes a son may do a minor mischief, but the father, in order to teach him a higher lesson, might become very strict on him. Not because that transgression was major, but because he has a higher purpose to impart to the child. And karmas and sinful activities that are done after one takes to devotional life, they also have the effect of slowing one's devotional life. They become impediments there because they affect your chanting, they affect the relationship with the guru. So so essentially it's the sixth offense, like committing sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. So in an explanation to that, these aspects are there, that if it is an incidental fall down because of strong past conditioning, and the devotee sincerely regrets it and does not repeat it again, then that fall down does not affect the devotee. But if it is deliberate, if it is repeated, if the devotee is thinking that I'm chanting the holy name, so I'm protected from any sinful reactions, then it stuns the growth of the devotional people. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. So I'll stop here. I think Prem Kishore Prabhu had to say something.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I have 3 things. One, actually, we noticed no one is using the phone recordings, which we were sharing. Actually, this is today's session is like 129th session. Okay. So Going forward, if everyone is okay, we will discontinue the phone recordings because we have other options now. Okay. So first, that is one. I'll pause it in a bit. Okay. The second is about the video recordings. I would like to share this. So this is the one which I used to send the links to you. So as you see, we are almost close, even though after buying 2 times the storage. So what we've decided is we'll be deleting the Canto 1 recordings, and Canto 2 we will keep it. This will be around 100 recordings will be deleted. But good part is we will have these continued in our YouTube channel. Okay. So this is our YouTube. I don't know if you're seeing my YouTube here. 1 second. You're seeing my YouTube, right? No, I don't.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, we can see it.
Okay. So that is the YouTube. I'll share this link. That is a second. They will continue uploading those YouTube links. The third is for audio. I used to share the audio link to you in every communication. We will continue doing that until we have the issue with the storage. But as a permanent solution, we are working on the SoundCloud. So mostly by end of this weekend, we will get those details and I'll publish it possibly for Monday's class. Okay. So I would like to pause. Anyone has any concern or any inputs? Number one is if anyone is using phone, please do let me know, because I didn't see even a single devotee accessing phone for the recording purposes.
Prabhuji, like the audio actually I downloaded and kept in my pen drive so I can hear during driving. That's what generally I'm doing, Prabhu, not using on drive at home. So
yeah, you can download. Still, you can download audios. You can download videos. No restrictions onto it. If
yeah, because even after you delete the Canto one, somewhere it will be there, right, Prabhu? If some lecture I missed it, I can download it, kind of.
Yeah, if you want more time, I can keep another week. We will delete only next week then. Okay. But the safer side is I do have the golden source for any issues in future, so I can even upload it again. Okay.
Yeah, even if it is there in SoundCloud, I am fine, Prabhu. Somewhere if it is there, I can download. You can delete it from here, if from your Google Drive.
Okay, that's fine. So SoundCloud, I'll give the details only on Monday. Okay, next Monday.
Sure, Prabhu, no hurry.
Any other question from anyone?
There are some questions on the chat, Prabhu.
1 second, I have some issues with my one laptop. I couldn't see where.
I can read out the question, Prabhu.
Yeah, just to.
So Hemanath Prabhu is saying that please give us some time before deleting videos, 1 week or 2 week, as per your convenience.
Oh yeah, we can give. Yeah, one till next Wednesday should be good, Prabhu. Himnath Prabhu.
Okay, and I think he's saying sure, Prabhu. And then Prema Manjari Mataji is saying, can you send the Google Drive recording links? I have not received. Please send the audio recording links also.
Okay, I can show you again the same links. In each and every mail communication which we make, with that link, if you click it, you'll directly go into those sessions. So 1 second. I'll try to stop share it. Again, I'll try to share this. 1 second. So this is the link where you'll be getting Mataji. So once you go, this is the second Canto 2. So you have your video recordings, audio recordings, okay, and also the exercises which we have to do. So all audio recordings will be here, all the audio recordings, and all the video recordings for Canto 2 will be here, and this will not be deleted at all. The same we followed for Canto 1 as well. So the proposal here is this will continue, except the Canto 1 will be deleted completely due to space. And in addition, we will be having the SoundCloud where you can access anywhere going forward on the audio side only. Okay.
So Premanji Mataji is saying, can you show your email and show the link?
Yeah, I can show the email as well, Prabhu. 1 second. I'll stop this. I'll show the emails which I sent. Because all the devotees are downloading, I can see that. So, Mataji, if you can see this email now, this is the email which I send it. So when you click this video link is where you'll go to the video drives here, okay? And similarly, audio, you'll be going to the audio drives. This is the audio. And this will continue. These are all the audios. Is it okay, Mataji?
Yep, she's saying okay.
Any other question? I see one more. 1 second, now I can access. Okay, I didn't see any questions. Okay, if any recommendations, please do let us know by Wednesday as well. So these are the 2 steps which we are taking forward. One is deleting the Canto 1 recordings probably after next Wednesday. And we will upload all the audio recordings into SoundCloud that will be permanent on His Grace Bhayahari Prabhu's name. Okay. And the audio recordings also will be there for a certain time period, what you have. And the third point is the YouTube link, which we will be continue doing that. You can access through YouTube as well. Okay. So I will share, going forward, I'll share that YouTube link as well so that you can access through YouTube if it is possible for you.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So if there are no more questions, we'll end over here. Vancha katna bhavane